understand what I'm about to tell you, you need to do something first. You need to believe in the impossible. Can you do that?
What do you desire that you can't have?
When I eat a brain, I get visions.
Don't ever come back to Gotham.
You have failed this city.
Jesus, what kind of a preacher are you?
There's about a dozen ways that I could stop you right now. But I don't think I have to.
Because where I'm from, your grandson becomes the greatest hero in the universe.
Now you should at least give a brother a moment to say something heroically clever.
In the future, my friends may not be heroes, but if we succeed, they will be remembered as legends.
Welcome to the DC TV report for the week ending Saturday, June 1st, 2019. I'm Edward O'Hare, nickname to be determined.
And I'm Sarah Netzley, academic by day, freelance writer by night.
We're here to bring you recaps, news, and commentary for all live-action television shows based on DC Comics.
And we have 2 new episodes this week. One, a very, very, very exciting premiere.
Yes.
By the way, I heard it, Ed. Are you as shook as I am that it's June?
Yeah. I was just, I'm so used to May. It was May.
It was May, just yesterday.
Yeah.
So since we last spoke, I flew across the country to visit my sister and brother-in-law and meet my new baby niece. And we did everything we could in their town. They have a new house. I checked that out. We went to every pinball arcade in the area. It was awesome. I flew back. I'm here now. I feel like how am I looking at the same wall I was looking at last week, but then I crammed all of this stuff in between these 2 things. It was wild. How was your week?
It was all right. Yeah.
Did you introduce a 2-month-old infant to Buffalo Wild Wings? Baby's first B-dubs was a big deal.
Oh, B-dubs. B-double-dubs.
Wait. What do you call it where you're from?
I think we just call it Wild Wings.
Is it because you're close to Buffalo, actually? Is that confusing?
No, not at all. Yeah. I mean, it's a recent development here. I think the one on Staten Island has only been here a few years. And it's weird because it's like, you know, I think it's in the same parking lot as an Applebee's and one door down from a Chili's. So
that feels like something my Midwestern suburban self would be very comfortable with. Like I would get there and be like, okay, we're okay. We made it.
Yeah. Although it's weird. I mean, it's really just bros go there to watch football. That's the only.
100%. 100%.
There's no one else who shows up at that place.
My brother-in-law, who is one of the kindest, nicest people I know, it is his favorite. It is his happy place, his favorite restaurant on earth, and he is kind of a pro that watches football. I apologize to my sister Laura if you're listening. I'm sorry. Anyway, that was my week.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I mean, you know, that's not a bad thing, you know.
There was nobody there, so they were able to take the baby like baby Simba in The Lion King and lift her majestically in front of the sign to take pictures. I had a very good week, Ed. Contrary to what's coming out of my mouth right now, it was a really good week. Good.
And we had some people online who were happy with our small talk.
Really? Well, I do think we are champion banterers.
Yes. Our buddy at Tanya Mel commented, HI references, terrorism humor, Buffy CGI callbacks, referring to early aughts sci-fi shows from when it was spelled SCIFI. Yeah, I am your audience.
She's the other half of my brain, so that's not a surprise. Yeah.
And we also got an email. We had an email, Sarah. Ooh. Yeah. To dctv@wickedtheory.com.
You blew the dust off the old account. And
yeah. It's from someone named Thomas. and he has some suggestions for things we could talk about when it gets slow. Which, you know, we have 2 shows now, and it looks like there's going to be a third coming on in a couple of weeks. So but
so this is our summer break right now with 2 shows,
yes,
right?
Yes. But you know, it's some interesting stuff. He said maybe Young Justice, which I know Sarah, you've seen. You know, and there's some other stuff to talk about. Maybe new Star Trek shows, Picard, Starfleet's Section 31 division, rumors of a Christopher Pike Enterprise. This piquing your interest, Sarah?
I mean, obviously the Picard thing is on my radar. Hello.
And retros and retro pics of the 2002-2003 misunderstood WB series Birds of Prey.
I am deeply into that. I had somehow missed that show, and I would love to see how it holds up today, what it would have been like then.
Yeah, I remember being really into it. I was in high school when that show came out, and it was like, oh my god, this is the comics, and I was like really deep into comic reading. And like that was the first TV show I ever watched that said the word metahuman.
Aw, baby's first metahuman.
So
well, and I'm intrigued that he describes it as deeply misunderstood. That makes me wonder. You know, there are things you look back on later and are just like, dang, we really had it good with that show. We had no idea. So.
Well, actually, I said that, but that's okay.
Well, okay. I'm intrigued that you described it as deeply misunderstood.
Yes. Yeah. It was weird because it was like a year or 2 after Smallville had come out. So it was like them trying to expand the universe and like, no, not gonna work.
And honestly, part of the reason I think I missed it was because I had so much Smallville fatigue. So
okay,
yeah, that's on me. Also, I think I was getting my PhD then. What year was that?
02 to 03.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was getting my PhD, so that's why I didn't watch it. There you go.
There you go. Also, he loves when you have a great guest, Sarah's Furies. And can Ed do a whole episode saying yeah or yeah.
You were just brutally called out, my friend.
Yeah, I mean that would put a lot of the workload on Sarah, so I don't know if we really want to.
You guys don't want to hear my verbal fillers. That's not, you don't want that. So like well, those are good suggestions. Those are fun. I would, if we ever have time off. Does it feel like the DC universe, the DC TV universe is just ever expanding?
Yes.
Ever enlarging?
Yes, it is. Yes, it's getting bigger and bigger. We're, you know, first we have shows on CW, now we have DC Universe, then premium cable's getting involved soon. It is all over the place. And yeah, and we have 2 episodes this week. And neither of them are superhero shows, which I find fascinating.
It's kind of funny. By the way, before we transition into that real fast, Ed, are you watching Good Omens?
I saw the first episode with my mother, who enjoyed it, so we're planning to watch it together.
Aw, that's lovely.
Yeah.
It's delightful. The book was delightful. The show so far is delightful. I am halfway through. I'm not saying I'm in a hurry to wrap up our podcast so I can get back to watching, because I enjoy my time with you, Ed. But David Tennant's in leather pants just in the next room. So, you know.
Yes. And it's it's different from American Gods, which is the other show based on a Neil Gaiman book. It's very
like 180 degrees, like night and day.
Yeah. But it you could tell that he had a bigger hand in crafting this. Like, it definitely has his whimsy all over it. And those 2 performances between David Tennant and Michael Sheen are just all-star.
A+. Yeah, the American Gods was a Tom Fuller or a Brian Fuller show. You could tell it's a Fuller show, and this is it's quirky, it's funny, it's yeah. It's good. It's good stuff.
Yeah. Also, real quick, for those of you who may be interested in hearing my voice elsewhere, I did a quick guest spot on the Wicked Theory podcast, which is pretty much just, Bill hanging out with people, talking about movies they watched last week. And we talked about, among other things, the 1982 Wes Craven directed Swamp Thing movie, which is evidently available on Tubi, which is a free streaming service. And yeah, oh man, that was a trip. And it really put my expectations in a different place for this show. And whoa, I'm not going to spoil anything, but Sarah, you should check out that movie just to see, like,
okay.
this was like this is where the best Swamp Thing we could have gotten in the early 80s. And it some things it got right. Actually, the a lot of the effects in it for Swamp Thing are really, really cool. It's the other characters that are just bonkers. But if you want to hear me chat and break down on that, I think Agent Palmer's on that episode too.
He is. Can I tell the people how it almost ended our podcast partnership when I made a snap conclusion?
Oh, really? What happened?
The issue of the Matrix sequels came up, and I hear my trusted, beloved partner, Ed, say, "Oh yeah, The Matrix Reloaded is on my list of top 3." And I was like, had the phone in my hands to text, "Partnership over. The Matrix Reloaded on your top 3." And then you said, "Most disappointing." I was like, oh, stand down. I thought you were going to be a sequel defender. And I was just, no. But you weren't. I should have known. I should have trusted you, and I apologize. Ken Edwards, I apologize.
Oh, thanks. Ken.
It's a great nom de plume.
Oh, thank you.
So we've been bantering forever. Do you?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's actually get into this.
Yeah.
All right, diving right in. Our first episode up is iZombie, season 5, episode 5. Death moves pretty fast. Liv steamed dim sum with the brain of a stupidly rich underground disc jockey with a penchant for intricate pranks who was murdered hours after being publicly threatened by Blaine. Ravi was down in the dumps after Isabel's obituary publicized the Freyla kid's zombie immunity, and Al Bronson confirmed that Blaine stole Ravi's zombie cure and killed Mayor Baracus. Enzo took command of Fillmore Graves' forces after Major was compromised by Alzheimer's brains that Deadenders had slipped into the tubes. Last-minute reveal: rotting zombies who had been freed from the Fillmore Graves icebox were wandering around in a dark room.
All right, so again, busy episode, but I just have to start by saying that was an amazing Pump Up the Volume shout out, and now I have to rewatch Pump Up the Volume. So thank you, iZombie.
Yes. Another tweet from @TanyaMel. If DCTV Report doesn't reference the fact that iZombie had a Pump Up the Volume reference, I will riot. These kinds of references are also the best way to show the age of the writing staff. They're my age.
Okay, put your torch and your broken bottles down. You do not have to go throw them at anything. But yeah, I agree. She and I have talked about this before, that you can sort of tell with the references and the jokes how old the people writing them are, because if they resonate with you, it's that is a staff other than Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. No, he's on the Veronica Mars reboot. Yeah. I always have to remind myself of that. That's somebody who clearly was watching those movies at the same formative age that we were. So
yeah. Well, it's funny you mentioned the iZombie writers room, because they replied to a tweet we put out
Go on.
Yeah, so during the episode, one of my live tweets was, basically I wanted to know if Harris's video will, did he shoot that himself or did he hire someone? Because I thought the lighting in it was great. And the iZombie writers room shot back, he's independently wealthy, which didn't really answer my question, but but you know what? We got a shout out for them, so that's fine.
We'll take it.
Yeah, we'll take it. But like, do you think he's the go-getter? It's like, I'm just gonna do this myself, or did he actually hire crew and have like a production meeting?
I feel like hire a crew.
Yeah. You think he's that kind of guy? Yeah.
Yeah, he's not the selfie stick propped up kind of guy.
Yeah.
He hired a crew.
Yeah. I mean, I think for a will, you're supposed to have like witnesses, so it probably would make sense for people to watch it. So that
yeah, presumably you had that crew sign off later. Yeah, I can pull in the lawyer on the couch to see if he would. How would he handle a will? Anyway.
That's okay. But more importantly, so yeah, we this was a very different brain to see live on. And just the way, she's this schemer, and like the different ways that she was acting through this episode. I thought that was an interesting acting challenge, because it wasn't just a straight up, out there crazy personality. There was some more subtleties that was going on there.
Which is funny, because that the victim of the week was not a subtle person, but when you added that to Liv, and she also had to do the Ravi's scenes were really rough. His quiet devastation, and so if she'd been on an obnoxious brain, I think it would have been harder to watch her comfort him. So I think they chose the right tone with her to pair with him for those scenes. And boy, that scene where she's just like, "Ooh, that article was bad," and he's like, "Yeah, it was," and they realized they were talking about two different bad articles. Poor Ravi.
Oh yeah, that was he was having a bad time. He was having man. But yeah, and it was that was rough. But I feel like we got to know, even though we got to know Harris a lot more than we usually get to know our zombie victims. I thought his interaction with Blaine, and the fact that he knows who Blaine was, and just straight up didn't care.
Didn't care.
I thought it was interesting cool connections that they were making in this episode. With Blaine, I thought that was really cool. What else?
Well, I used the words quietly devastating to talk about Ravi realizing that the news got out because he didn't tell her mother not to share. But let's talk about quietly devastating Alzheimer major. Holy cow.
Oh, that was scary. Like downright. God damn it, Dolly Durkins.
I love how much you hate her. It is hard for me because she's also on the Goldbergs, and I'm watching. That's our go-to. I just have a half an hour, and I need my brain to just coast, and it's the Goldbergs that we choose for that. And she plays this perky homemaker. Like she would never feed anybody Alzheimer brains on the Goldbergs. And then you flip over to this; it's very confusing.
She's only in one episode this week, and it's like, oh man. And Enzo's betrayal, even though like you couldn't see that coming from 1,000 miles away, it was still like, God damn it, why?
Yeah, I was gonna say that was not a surprise.
Yeah, but... Why is it all of these guys who work for military contractors, are suddenly turning into homicidal maniacs? Like, when did that become a thing?
Always.
Vive Chase Graves.
I like that he kept that all the hair so tightly coiffed. It was just, he really rocked that look all the way through. Good for him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, are we gonna have a zombie apocalypse?
It looks like that's what they're setting up. What's weird, like you have like two big bads now on this show. You have Dolly Durkins and the Dead Enders, and then you have, whoever that guy that was in the van that unfroze those guys this week. We found out like there are a lot more people unfrozen than we think. And the fact that it doesn't look like they're feeding them, they're just like wandering around and actually letting them become zombies. This is scary. This is really,
Yeah.
They need to find that place. They need to find it like now. This is a huge problem.
I kind of want full on zombie apocalypse. That is just the chaos that lives within me, though. So.
Yeah. I mean, it would be weird to have a show called iZombie and that doesn't happen. So I'm
well, and we kind of had it. Was it the season 3 finale when actual Rob Thomas guest starred?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
That was I super dug that. That's when Clive found out and blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. That was a great season finale, and I always like the zombie chaos. So mostly, I'm just looking for the next new zombie movie or book to read. So if anybody has recommendations, because iZombie has smart zombies, which is great, but give me the chaos.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I thought this. I'm just going through here. I think we cover all the big main storylines.
We did not cover how awesome Clive was this week. In that, I think it was Robbie that says, "Clive, you're not Batman," and Clive says, "You don't know that," and then just stoned on FaceTime the whole time. Great, he was great.
What do you think that actor was doing that week that he could only film the one day?
I am curious. I am really curious. I don't know much about his other credits. I didn't even think to look to see if he has something coming up. But yeah, he clearly, that was like the Buffy episode. I guess I'm talking about Buffy again this week. Sorry, where she got turned into a rat so she could host SNL, and they just carried the Buffy rat around in a cage all episode long. So
yeah, or maybe he just had like a wedding to go to, or
yeah, like his mom's like 75th birthday or whatever, and he had to be out of town.
Yeah, or he was going to be the godfather at a christening.
And he was like, "Hey guys, could you just..." So yeah, I enjoyed that. Other things I enjoyed: Vampire Steve going undercover as a DJ, and also just sleeping in the morgue. Every time Vampire Steve is on, I'm happy. And Major ends his calls to Ravi with, "You complete me." There were a lot of those little things. That's what makes me love this show. The big storylines, of course, yeah, it keeps us all going. But those tiny little character beats are just hard hands.
Yeah, and the dim sum. Like we actually got to see Liv do some really creative cooking here. I think that's like the most creative we had in like 3 seasons.
Yeah, that looked time intensive, and also I thought the reporter was interesting, sneaking one and exposing Blaine, and boy, that involving Peyton was an interesting choice. I struggled with the journalism ethics of that a little bit. Did I can't remember what Peyton knew and what she didn't know. When that was all going on, but I loved that profile picture with the drawn on horns and things. It was just pitch perfect for an expose like that. That whole thing was great. I have enjoyed that reporter's presence on the last 2 episodes.
Yeah. Al Bronson.
Al Bronson.
Short for Alice. All right. Sarah, are you ready to move on to the big premiere for this week?
I am, because I'm excited to talk about it.
Okay. All right. So next up, our second and final episode for this week, Swamp Thing. Series pilot. CDC investigator Abby Arcane returned to her hometown of Murray, Louisiana, after a mysterious epidemic began spreading. Scientist Alec Holland tried to convince Abby that his research on mutagens growing in the swamp had a connection to the epidemic. Last-minute reveal, the Swamp Thing watched Abby run away from him and collapsed on the shore.
Oh, Ed, I liked this very much.
Yeah, I was really into it.
As I was watching it, I was thinking I am super into this vibe. So I think this hit my sweet spot for gothic horror romance. Like it's what they promised us. Honestly, it's what they delivered. I thought it was kind of interesting. The actor they cast as Alec Holland is Andy Bean, and I wasn't, just to see photos of him, I was like, really, that's your romantic lead? But then you see him in action, and you see the quirky charisma that he brings. I was just like, all right, I get it. I get why you chose him. Now, are we ever going to see him again?
Let's hope not. Let's hope not.
Do you prefer your Alec Holland to be a little more swampy and thiggy?
Yeah. So here's what I really liked about this show. I like that it got to the point. It really stayed true to the spirit of the comics. I liked that for the most part it was Abby Arcane's show. I like that this is really told from her point of view, and Alec is really was really a second lead. I thought that was an interesting way to approach the show, and I love the fact that we got all of the backstory that we needed, but it wasn't bogged down in it, and we didn't have all these giant long drawn out flashbacks. That the flashbacks were literally just 1 or 2 seconds, and then just the emotions filling everything in.
And it told us everything we needed to know. Because she's driving back into town, she sees a memory of her and a blonde girl on the bridge. And then we see the mother of the blonde girl furious with her. Like, none of us needed her to spell out what happened to know what happened, really, because they did such an effective, short, clean, simple way of filling in some of those gaps for us. Yeah, we're going to get the details. Obviously, it wasn't her, it's going to be, I don't know, maybe from the comics, some kind of car accident or something like that she caused, but she didn't actually, straight up murder her, obviously. Maybe the show will surprise me. Maybe she's a cold-blooded killer. Let's see. But I agree with you that the way that information was parceled out was done really, really well. And Crystal Reed just killed it. She was great. She was fantastic on Teen Wolf. She was really fun on Gotham. And so I'm glad to see her continue to explore those dimensions and also that sharp jawline.
Yeah. I like how much time we spent in the swamp. I like the fact that most people use boats to get around instead of cars.
I'm so jealous. I can't just roll up to a party in a boat. I want that so much.
Yeah. Little beats of characters. Avery Sunderland. I thought Will Patton was just menacing enough, where it's like, hey, I'm a good old boy. Everything's gonna be fine over here, but you totally know that he's responsible for thousands of deaths that are happening in that town.
100%. Hey, so question about Will Patton, and I swear I'm not obsessed with people's age. I swear, but is that how old he is now? It looked like he was in old age makeup, but is it because I just watch Armageddon every time it's on TV, and so I think of him perpetually as that astronaut who is not actually the salesman for that little boy's mom to tell him about?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like he's been.
Did you follow me on that journey?
Yes. I was completely there. I feel like he's been that same age since Armageddon. I feel like he was 60 then.
He went from Bruce Willis's hotshot buddy to, well, not hotshot, like there were a lot more hotshots. Let's talk about Armageddon for 20 minutes. I can do that. To like 60-year-old small town swamp mayor like that after Armageddon. All right, I dig it. I guess I haven't seen him in much else. So
yeah,
but he was great.
Yeah, and everyone forgets Owen Wilson's in that movie.
I don't. How dare you, sir? Most terrifying environment imaginable. Got it. All you needed to say. Most terrifying environment imaginable. I will quote every aspect of that movie. Give me any excuse.
I know what it's like when you're going through this in your body, and it's
got all these hormones raging.
You are 5 minutes older than Grace, so.
Truly, that is everybody's finest work. Everybody in that movie was doing their finest work. Ben Affleck sold that scene with the animal crackers. Like, how any human could make that not ridiculous. It was ridiculous. I can't even defend that one. I'm sorry. Continue.
So yeah, Will Patton's in the show.
As is Oscar nominee Virginia Madsen. I kind of felt like she wandered into the wrong. It's a weird career trajectory, and yet it's not, because Hollywood is terrible to women over 40. So get you that work, Virginia Madsen. Get it.
Yeah, and it's weird. It's like, Virginia Madsen's in the show, really? And then she has that scene in the bar,
and it's like, oh,
that's why you cast Virginia Madsen.
And that's why Virginia Madsen takes it.
Yeah, and she's dangerous. She's much more frightening than Avery Sunderland. To me in this show. She's even more dangerous. Like, after that scene, I felt she was more dangerous than the plants.
Well, and maybe that's, I'm so sorry to bring up zombie movies again, but like, the zombies are the menace, but the humans are the real menace. So the swamp thing and the stuff in the swamp is the menace, but the humans are the real menace. Bam. Let's see. Have you ever heard a worse pair of words than designer flip-flops?
Yeah. All right. So I was not as big a fan of Andy Bean.
Really? Well, I wondered. You didn't respond. I thought he was great. I thought he's this great kind of out of place, disgraced scientist who did it for, kind of understandable reasons.
I think the character was well written. I don't think he was bad. I just thought he was serviceable. It was like, okay, all right. So, okay, I get who this guy is. I kind of get why Abby's sort of into him. And then it was like the second he got shot, I'm like, yes, all right. Okay, all right, I'm ready to never see him again, because the 4 seconds of Derek Mears in the Swamp Thing, as Swamp Thing, I thought were incredible. That I thought they were everything I wanted from that show, and I want to follow that character. And I know it sounds weird because they're the same person, but like, I don't know. That's why, like, because the flashbacks were so restrained, I'm hoping that we don't spend 100 years. We don't spend entire episodes following Alec Holland's backstory, because I don't think the show needs that.
Yeah, I did quiz my husband on is this going to be like a Doom Patrol where we weren't sure how much Matt Bomer we were going to see or how much Brendan Fraser we were going to see, and then we saw a ton of them. Mm-hmm. And he had some answers for me that I will not mention in case you haven't read the comics. So I'm curious to see if they do some of that. But yeah, I'm with you. This doesn't look like a flashbacky show. This looks like a show that's going to reveal things we need to know from the past in dramatic Crystal Reed monologues, which is great.
Yeah.
Well, that's funny. He made a fan out of me based on this, based on my initial skepticism, but not so much you. So I guess that's what makes this show interesting. Our show, like you and me, like.
I'm just going through. Oh, we got to see Madame Xanadu. We didn't get to hear her, but we saw her in the balcony of Delroy's bar. Yeah, and Sarah, you have no idea who that character is, do you?
Correct.
That's fine. There's a great comic series of her that was written by Matt Wagner, drawn by Amy Reeder Hadley, who just goes by Amy Reeder now. Which I would highly recommend if you want a cool Madame Xanadu, if you want to read more about Madame Xanadu. But just the fact that she's in this and she's not a regular Swamp Thing character, like the fact that they are still having those exterior characters seep into this, and the fact that we may be getting some dark universe stuff, I think that's exciting. Because DC
it's
has
all exciting.
Yeah, DC has a very large stable of horror characters that are all very original and different. And well, I'm excited for Swamp Thing. I'm really interested to see how they parse that out, and how they slowly expand this corner of the DC universe.
Well, and I'm worried that because they chopped it down from 13 to 10 episodes, are they going to expand this corner? Or, if this is well received, I don't know. We'll have to see how it's received and how it ends and all that. But I love it. I'm excited for the next episodes. Also, Abby Arcane, Crystal Reed, who plays Abby Arcane, looks so much like a friend of mine who works for the CDC. It's actually confusing to my brain sometimes. I'm like, CDC, that's not her. That is an actress playing it. That's not. It's hard for me.
Did they grow up in Louisiana?
She did not.
Okay.
She's a California girl. So
Yeah.
I don't think she has a dark, tragic backstory. She has a really cute dog right now, actually. So,
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
that was a me thing.
Yeah. And let's story stuff aside, let's talk about the real standout in this show, and that is the effects.
Let's talk about how effects were used to scare me in this show.
Yeah, and I'm always wary of stuff like this, especially stuff that might not have a great budget. That I'm always afraid that they're going to fall back on CGI too much, and it's going to look like a cartoon. And this felt like a perfect balance because there were definitely practical elements. And I thought it was a great balance and some really frightening stuff. That I just the image when they find Eddie Coyle in his bathroom with
100% what I was going to mention too.
Yeah, and even like the walls of just the trail of like green swamp water that was leading to that bedroom was, oh man. But
I mean, am I correct that it's a mix of practical effects and CGI?
Oh yeah, it's a mix. But I
Which
think
is my favorite thing.
yeah, because it boosts the elements, and I think yeah, and just I think they're doing a great job of that. Yeah, because when you balance out those practical elements, I feel like it holds up 100 times better.
Yeah, it was scary. The vine work was really, really well done. That scene where it grabs Abby's leg and starts pulling her I'd seen it in the trailer. It still worked. It still worked when I saw it in the episode. So good stuff.
Yeah, and were you excited to see that kid from who was the scientist on Black Lightning show up, and then all of a sudden, he got a tree through the stomach. He's probably not going to be around.
I was surprised to see that. I was just like, whoa, that escalated. Holy.
Yeah.
Oh, kid from Black Lightning. I hope your character sticks around someday.
But yeah. So that was, that. And at the end, just the one thing about the Swamp Thing movie is that it you could tell that it was just the suit. And it kind of had like a rubbery feel to it. And the thing I love about the way they put together the Swamp Thing costume is that it just looks like plant life. Like you could see the brush and the twigs and the moss and everything just kind of like piled in together. I thought that was fascinating. I thought they really nailed that look, and that's the one thing that even like some of the best comic artists have struggled to really nail. I thought, oh man, it's everything I wanted from that look.
Yeah, I didn't have obviously I didn't have expectations because I am not a comic /80s movie watcher. 80s movies, not this 80 movie. So I didn't know what to expect, but it was incredible. It was well done. I will say this is the kind of show that you're not going to want to watch at high noon, I don't think, in a sunny room. Like, we had to wait until the sun went down just so we could get all the different tones of the Swamp Thing. But yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's a very dark show. It's very dimly lit.
And dark also. I mean, like, dark in every sense of the word, I think.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Any more thoughts on Swamp Thing?
No, it was awesome. Give me more. Put it in front of my face.
Yes. Let's do that now. All right. Let's do some news. What news do we have for other shows?
All right. So let's start with some Arrowverse news. Over on Arrow, David Ramsey did an interview where he said, nobody really wants to do the show without Felicity and Emily Bett Rickards, but the producers talked to those who are staying, and they've got exciting plans. And that is kind of how he said it based on the punctuation in the article. He was like, yeah, she's the heart of the show. Nobody wants to do the show without her. But we talked to the producers, and the plans are, they're exciting. So, somebody needs to tell David Ramsey he needs to fake enthusiasm a little bit better for these last 10 episodes. I feel like we're going to see everybody show up to work. They're going to have little protest signs like stitched into their costumes. None of them seem to want to, like, right?
Yeah, that's oh man. Yeah, I feel like we need video of that, but
yeah. And then Emily Bett Rickard herself gave an interview, and she said, this is not going to be popular, but I feel like Felicity's done her time. So she kind of indicated that the plan was to end the show this season. Everybody was mentally prepared to move on, and then they came back with this request for 10 more episodes, and Felicity's done, she says. So that doesn't sound good for Felicity coming back for a series finale. But, time passes. Maybe she'll feel differently in a couple of months. But I thought that was kind of funny that David Ramsey's like, yeah, nobody wants to do it without her. And she's like, yeah, no, Felicity's done. So.
Wow. I mean, they could have taken her aside for 10 minutes and just look sad and just basically like have her waiting on the other end of the portal for Oliver.
Or sad and then smiling and then hug Oliver. Shoot us a little. Like, okay, Quentin Tarantino shot footage of the little girl in Kill Bill 1 when, if you're still feeling raw, you come talk to me about this later. So they would have little girl footage. So in 15 years, he could make that movie with the proper setup. That was smart. I don't, so they could have done that. Anyway, last little bit of Arrow news. Stephen Amell, this is just goofy. Stephen Amell was asked, hey, if you ever return to the DC universe, who would you like to play? He said he definitely wants to play a villain. He would love to play General Zod. Do you see Stephen Amell telling people to kneel before Zod? Does that work for you in your head?
Not really, but okay. I'd love to see him play a villain. Zod, I don't know. I always imagine Zod is, I don't know. I mean, I don't see why not. We're talking hypotheticals here, so this is always kind of like it's not going to happen. But yeah, okay, it's interesting to think about.
Well, the two big Zods in my head are, of course, the movie Zod, not the newest movie Zod.
Terrence Stamp.
The Christopher Reeve movie Zod, and then Zod and Krypton. And Stephen Amell does not match either of those. And they both are kind of leaner, lither, different kind of menace.
Yeah. But we know he could pull off the goatee, so
This is true. Anyway, that's the Arrow news. Moving on to The Flash. This is another interview. All I have are interviews with people on these shows this week, apparently. Hartley Sawyer, who plays Ralph, talked about what he hopes for Ralph next season, and he said he thinks Ralph is finally ready for romance, that he has evolved enough, and the audience is invested enough. If we tried to do the Sue thing with Ralph in the first season he was on, it just wouldn't have worked. So, Ralph has been there. He's earned some growth and some development that would lead him toward, that relationship with Sue. He also says we're going to see more detective work for Ralph next season. We saw the seeds of that in the finale this year when Ralph is the one who figured it out, and he got turned inside out for his pains, but that's okay. And then, of course, as everybody who is in these interviews over the summer is apparently legally obligated to do, he said that this is going to be the crossover to end all crossovers. I feel like every time the publicist says, yeah, I've got so-and-so from Screen Rant on the line for you, or from TD Line on the line for you, they're like, don't forget, say the crossover is going to be epic. Okay, here you go.
Stephen Amell is the bravest, warmest, kindest man I've ever met.
Grant Gustin is generous. He saved a puppy once. I saw it. It's the crossover, and Grant Gustin and Stephen Amell. All hail.
Oh, Manchurian Candidate. But I mean, as far as the first two things, I would be happy to see both of those things. I applaud that. I cannot wait to see it. Yeah. Him being a detective and getting a proper romance. I think both of those are great ideas.
I think it would be great. I think if those two things interconnect, if he meets her on a case, which it looks like he's going to because he has that folder with her name on it. Now just give us the casting news. Like, that is what I'm waiting for this summer.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, next Arrowverse show we're going to talk about is Batwoman.
Batwoman music.
So Comic Book Resources has a little bit of information about the bad guys in Batwoman. It's going to be Alice and her Wonderland gang. But it says that Batwoman is not going to be Alice's enemy. Like, she is not targeting Batwoman initially. She has an axe to grind against another character. And also, just the general chaos that those kinds of villains love to create in poor, crumbling cities like the one Batwoman is trying to protect. So yeah, it's not going to be Alice versus Batwoman initially anyway. I'm assuming Batwoman will step in and will create a target on her back, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, that I feel like that happens a lot, especially in the first season of shows like this. So yeah, that's exciting. There's, I
mean, you're not born with enemies; you create enemies. Come on.
Yeah, and I mean, I can't wait for that show, and there's a lot of interesting directions that they could go with the character of Alice. So we'll see how true to the comics it really is. Mm-hmm.
Indeed. And we talked about this a little bit in previous episodes, the look of the set that they're going for, the look of the world. But here's another article on inverse.com where it's described as looking more like Joker, the Joker movie, and Gotham than shows on the Arrowverse. And because the Arrowverse shows have a certain look, but Gotham is a lot more crumbling, and same with Joker. Apparently the Joker trailer aired, and the folks working on the Batwoman set were just like, yeah, that's what we're going for. So yeah, I'm sorry, I just brought up the Joker movie, everybody.
It's okay. We
some of us are more excited about it than others.
We can move on. We can move on. But yeah, I would expect it a little more like Gotham because the show takes place in Gotham.
Gotham has no good overhead lighting. We know that. That's been established in a variety of TV and film. So yeah, it's what we expected.
Cool.
Let's see. Finally. Oh, no, not finally. Yes, finally. We just have so little news this week. Moving on to Krypton. Krypton is getting a digital mini comic that's going to bridge the gap between the seasons. It's called Tales from the Phantom Zone. It's 3 pages long, and it's allegedly located on the Sci-Fi website. I told Ed this off air. I felt like your grandma/mom trying to figure out how to connect to the printer, because I couldn't find. I followed every link. It's supposed to be in color, but all I found were black and white pencil sketches. Was it my browser? Is it operator error? I don't know, Krypton. I couldn't find your mini comic. I tried to read it for this week, and I couldn't, and it was after midnight, and I gave up and went to bed. So if you find it, tell me how to find it. Tell me I'm an old woman. That's fine. That's cool. I just got glasses specifically for reading the computer. I'm an old woman. It's fine. But what I saw, Cameron Cuff, who plays Segel, tweeted the first couple panels and was just, he's a lifelong comic fan. He's so geeked to see his face on the comic page. So it was really cute. So I followed the link, and it was that same black and white panel. I struggled with this, Ed. But anyway, that's cool. It's bridging, the gap between. You say things now, Ed.
Yeah. So there's a comic that you could read that that bridges the gap between seasons 1 and 2. So yeah, I'm excited to try to find and read that.
You're gonna find it with no trouble. You're gonna be like, what was her problem? It's okay. I know problems galore. Another thing while we're talking about Krypton, somebody on Twitter was like, hey, why does everybody on Krypton sound like they're British? And one of the showrunners tweeted, it's not British, it's Kryptonese. They're the same. So it's Kryptonese, not British. Just like it's not British, it's Westerosi. It's not British, it's, yeah. And that show, Ed, correct me if I'm wrong, premiering June 12th, right?
Yes, June 12th.
So soon.
Yeah, we're going to be covered in 2 weeks. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm ready for that political intrigue. I'm ready to see how the heck Lobo is going to fit into that show.
I am hoping Lobo. I hope the show trends more toward Lobo. From what I've seen of him,
mm-hmm.
and I'm less excited about the political intrigue. I gotta be honest.
Okay,
we'll see. So that's it for news for me.
All right, which means now it's time for our winners of the week. I'll go first.
Okay, you go, sir.
And I think it's pretty obvious. And it's Derek Mears as Swamp Thing. We got maybe 10 seconds of him, and that was all I needed. In fact, I feel like the show started in that moment. The lumber is the way he came out of that swamp and scared Abby away, and she went running into the forest, and him just collapsed, and those red eyes of longing, heartbreaking, really heartbreaking.
I had the unfortunate experience of watching The Toxic Avenger for the first time this past week. Oof. And there's some parallels. I'm so sorry. There are. I'm just so excited that this did it exactly how my heart would have wanted. Like serious, straightforward, scary. And you're right, those red eyes, especially the credits have those great red eyes in that shot. Ooh, good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Not to hijack your winner.
No, not at all. Not at all.
So my winner of the week, it is women from Teen Wolf. Hear me out. Al Bronson, the reporter from iZombie, is played by Gage Golightly, who was Erica Reyes on Teen Wolf season 2 or 3. I can't remember. I super enjoyed her reporter character. I thought she was smart. She put things together. She didn't back down. I don't love, again, I said this earlier, what she did with Peyton and her role in the Blaine saga, but I thought that character was great. I also thought her character Erica on Teen Wolf was unfairly shuffled off this mortal coil too fast. And then we've got Crystal Reed, who was Allison Argent in Teen Wolf, starring as Abby Arcane in Swamp Thing. And she was everything. She was smart, haunted, careful, cautious, funny, acerbic. She's a good screamer, all of it. It's good. It was good. So ladies from Teen Wolf, thank you for having such a good week on DC TV.
Yeah. All right. We got through another episode, Sarah.
We got through another episode.
Yeah.
Did we keep it as short as we were hoping? Nope, we did not.
That's okay.
That's okay.
That's okay. One quick note. I just want to, I probably should have said this at the top, but I'm trying out some new things, so I think I'm going to be taking a break from Twitter. So if you send me something and I don't respond, I mean, I don't do that half the time anyway, so it shouldn't be that big a deal. But I think I'm just going to take the app off my phone just to, try to be a little less distracted. Just to see what happens. I don't know how long it's going to happen. I will probably pin something to my profile. I will still be tweeting from the DC TV report, although I usually do that at home while the shows are airing. And our executive producer, Bill Sweeney, helps out a lot with that too.
These words frighten and confuse me. I'm changing nothing. I will still be on Twitter. I will pick up Ed Slack. Don't you worry.
Okay. All right. Cool. Yeah. Are we done, Sarah? Are we
I think we're done.
Wow. That's the DC TV report for this week. You can find us on Twitter. I'm at Edward O'Hare TBD.
I'm at Sarah Netzley, SaraNetzley.
And follow the show on Twitter at DCTV Report. Send along your emails to dctv@wickedtheory.com. Also, be sure to subscribe to our show on your podcast app of choice and rate and review us. That helps more people find us. Check out our sister shows, the Wicked Theory Podcast and Preacher vs. Preacher. This has been a Wicked Theory Studios production. Executive producer, Bill Sweeney. Visit us at wickedtheory.com. Shazam, everybody.
Shazam.
Shazam!